Let's get started. Let's start standing, guys. So a lot of the traditional Hatha yogi, this class ends seated, a lot more meditative and resting. So I think good idea to start seated. Let me just mute everyone. All right, guys. So just traditional yoga, we always start with a moment of mindfulness here, kind of arriving into the practice, the yogis call it. You can set an intention, you can do breath work, okay? You can do a mantra is a big one, a prayer, just kind of stepping into a deeper layer of your awareness and reality. The yogis always talk about trying to make everything you do more sacred. So whatever that means to you, right? Can you make it more special is another kind of way I like to think about it. So you stand nice and tall, even something like this, just standing. Can you make posture, the yogis say, more sacred or just more special? Okay, so you're standing really tall. You know the deal here. You can lift your heels and toes for a moment. I don't give you that cue every time, but just running some active energy through your legs and shoulders. And just standing for a brief moment here. They call that like the entering the gateway of heightened self-awareness. So there's this moment where we don't do anything too big here. You become more subtly self-aware, tuning into the subtle sensations, the subtle thoughts, observing the self. So yoga is just as much subjective as it's objective. So if you're very subjective in the practice, over-feeling and being in your own head, become more of that observer, the objective approach. Okay? Nice big inhale here, guys. Big exhale. So my favorite, the squat kriya, but we'll do the push-pull variation this morning and switch it up. On the inhale, my arms reach forward. It's kind of like a shoulder flexion exercise. Okay, and then I exhale, it's like a row. See how the arms come down, they bend back and together. I push my hips.
Oh, they're in the trunk? Okay, tell them it's in the trunk.
Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, standing squat. Sorry about that. I don't know how people get unmuted. All right, inhale is chair, exhale. We call this like a standing cobra, because this is cobra when you're on your chest, right? So you're doing these same body forms. It's almost like a vinyasa. This would be like a child pose, and this would be like a cobra. So you're going between these two. The yogis, the tantra, the qigong, the modern fitness squatting is the most fundamental leg exercise. All right, so you can't really beat it, guys. I pretty much squat every day. Even if my knees are hurting, I use it as therapeutics to get that knee moving. Now, if my knee was hurting, I might go really slow, okay, and bend less. If I was feeling good, I would speed it up and go deeper. Remember that form is more important than depth. So range of motion is good to develop, but not when we sacrifice form is a good general rule, okay? Now, as you approach that range of motion, your form will be a little less quality, but just so you're aware of it, it's never going to be perfect, okay? So if you're just joining, we're doing the squat kriya with the push and the pull. Hip thrust is our peak back line in the biomechanics. So if you're looking for your butt work, you got your bridge, where the hips go forward. You can't beat this exercise, guys. Do it regularly, okay? Let's stand up here, guys. Okay, feet go together. We're doing our yin-yang practice in the Hatha mode this morning. Intertwine your fingers, classic here. Turn your palms up, straighten your arms. Notice I take my arch out by squeezing my butt and my thighs, lifting up, inhale, and then it's a little side bend. Yogis, don't go too deep, guys. Big inhale, big exhale. If you want the true kriya breath, it's inhale in the nose, exhale out the mouth twice. And you're stretching and breathing. Now, if it's too much, if you watch me, we go here. Inhale, exhale, inhale. We're really getting into our side body. I showed an easier version. The yogis do this in tree pose too eventually, once you're really good at it. they add the unstable. Same exercise, 1 foot. But again, you know, it's pretty early for that. But hey, you want to go big, you're feeling good, you woke up early. I'm not here to decide exactly what you should do. I'm here to give you a structure to build the body in a strategic way. I'm not here to, you know, say you should do this and not this, right? This is adult class. It's not like I have to tell you exactly what to do. There's a lot of responsibility put on you. All right, guys, stand up here. Now, this is a big exercise. I suggest starting easy. It's our first step back, lunge and twist. Inhale, arms up. Okay, this is called Urdhva Hastasana. As I exhale, I'll show you easy version. My hands intertwine and I have my waist. It's like my hands are gonna rest on my abdomen. Left foot back, I twist right. Okay, a nice skillful step forward. I wouldn't over twist. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. See the step back and twist to the opposite foot. So if my right foot goes back, I twist left. I can lunge much deeper and twist much deeper. But I did like a 2-hour practice and workout yesterday. I am destroyed right now. So I'm treating my body like it's a little newborn baby or something. Very easy, guys. This isn't really like a classic yoga movement. I learned this one in the exercise physiology kinetic movement series where you're kind of like, it's the coil, right? So as we go 1 foot back, we twist away from it. In the practice, sometimes we do it more like this in yoga, right? Where we go here and you go here. But that is a little bit more like that back bend. So I'm not making it so complex on the body. Be creative, yogis. I want you to make it your own as much as possible. All right? Now, we're going to keep going. I'm just going through some movements. Look at that crazy asymmetry. You probably feel that, the side bend and the twist that early. We got to do that symmetry now, tightening up the whole back line. Hip hinges. Ardha Uttanasana to Tadasana. Okay, so we inhale, weight into the toes. I arch my back, little bit, right? Exhale, second round of hip thrust. So in fitness, this is called the Romanian deadlift, where I go like this. They do like kettlebell swings and stuff like that. The yogis were doing it a long time ago. Hinging here, weight into the toes, making sure my toes aren't over cramping. Exhale, back up. I squeeze that butt. The moderns, even science, they're all talking about if you're squatting with weight and you go here, you got to squeeze your butt at the top. Okay, so it's posterior tilt and extension activation. So hinge. Now you can do it legs straight, but you know, that's a whole different exercise. And it's really not a warm-up approach. Okay, go ahead. And you know, eventually, if you're feeling good, you can pause, you do it on one leg, you go further down. Once you get really good at keeping your spine straight, weight in your toes, anterior tilt, you can go below halfway, a couple days there. But it's, again, we're still in the beginning of practice. Best to be easy on the body and not go too crazy. Now, that's a tightening movement. All right, if you want to go a little bit more fluid and stretch, watch me here, please. Widen your feet a little, inhale, arms up and back. Exhale, forward bend. Now, you don't have to bring your arms up and over, guys. The idea is to bring your head to the highest point and then the head to the lowest point. They do this, again, when you see certain exercises and movements, you know, this is used in the Kabbalah exercises, in the Qigong, the ancient Chinese, all the yoga, the Tantra, you know, the lineages of yoga. What is there, 1,800 mainstream yoga types? It's used in like all of them, and in the modern fitness where we take the digestive tract, the lymph, the brain, and we flip it up, the heart, and then we go like that. So all the blood is going the head up, head up. So it's like we're shaking your whole body out, all right? You know, my goal, guys, is to not just tell you to do exercises. I want more context. I want you to know like why we're doing it and when to apply it. I think the why is like the most important thing. So we're getting depth to our practice, not just like, let's just do this. I want more understanding and clarity, okay? Now go slow. We're gonna open up wide. Now, you could go a little longer. We did the hip hinges there, so I'm not gonna give you too many. Now I want that first strong pull down. So we gotta activate our lower trap muscles, okay? So my feet are wide here, and I'm gonna reach my arms up, my palms are gonna go forward. And then I'm gonna bend the knees, they're gonna go out over the feet, and I'm gonna pull my arms back. So remember, this type of exercise is from the postural correction work. If you were like in a private and you wanted to work on posture, we do stuff like this. It's that same thing. It's like I'm pushing my elbows and my arms into a wall, but they're not really on a wall, right? So I'm pulling down, trying to activate the lowest part of my back track right here. That's gonna work on pulling my shoulders not only back, but down. So you're doing like this. It's almost like you're in the gym and you have a bar and you're pulling it to like the back of your neck and your shoulders. You know that exercise where you kind of sit and you go here? It's good. That's a really good thing, but I like to do compound work. I like to include the legs in arms and core as much as possible. This is a pretty decent, it's like a closed chain isolate. So it's really just arms if you're in the gym, but here we're working that full body, okay? Last few, please. See how the knees bend deep and the elbows bend deep? The legs and the hips straighten, the shoulders and the elbows straighten, bending, straighten. So it's not really much core, but what do you think's next? Core, second rotation, right? We're actually gonna do 2 rotations today. All right, guys, turn your toes in. I just kind of keep moving forward. You're kind of making it your own. Feet parallel. You can take a quick stretch if you'd like. Now finally kind of holding, reaching for your toes. Remember, as we forward bend, the idea is to lengthen back line and actually put a little tension through back line. This isn't really passive stretching. So as we lean the weight into the toes, you'll feel the back of the legs lighten up more. That's the idea. So as we forward bend, weight into the toes, all right? Not always, but a majority of the time. Now, our next exercise you might want your block for. Now remember, this is the open and close, they call it. We're gonna start with the open. I'm not gonna do the compound right now. Inhale, right arm out and up. Feel your back. This is a back fly. Still back muscles, guys. Right hand down, okay? Inhale, left arm out and up. Maybe you can see I'm pausing and twisting. I'm engaging my legs. Exhale down. Inhale. Exhale. Just be careful because this is an easy one to like really tense your traps. Try to get those traps back and down. That's why I had you do pull down first. It's also postural correction. In postural correction, it's basically a lot of these back activators. So we just did pull down. Look, we did row already, and now we're doing back fly. So you're really getting all of these muscle activations that are going to kind of pull your arms back, all right, from being like this. When we were in postural class back in the day, Dale Perry, a famous kinesiologist, he speaks at the national kinesiology conferences. I was very lucky to study under him. And he was talking about how they kind of find that the #1 postural deviation in the upper body is this kind of shoulder rolling forward. So, you know, as we pull this back, it also kind of corrects the spine more and the head position. So it's all, you know, those shoulder and back muscles need to be worked more. All right, guys, now listen, this next one is a little bit more subtle. It's nothing too crazy. My right hand reaches for my left foot, and then it's just neutral. That's it. Now the big version is upright, right? So I would go something like this, core up, okay? Easier version is bent over, here, 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 here. It's a small movement. If you get good at it, right? You know, we do stuff like, you go like this. Not like traditional yoga, but we don't want to be narrow-minded, okay? We got to mix the modern with the traditional. Okay, a couple more, guys. You know, the body's designed to move. We got to move your body a lot, yogis. I know a lot of you like the slow stuff, but let's keep an open mind, okay? Nice, Sherry. Nice, Janet. All kind of making it your own. Nice, Kev. It's just like you're in the, sometimes in the kitchen, you got to bend over and pick something up. Now, our legs are a little wider, but it's that same idea. They call it like bent over, twisting, and then lifting up away from it. Okay, let's stand up, yogis. Step to the front of your mat. You want to shake it out a little bit. Nice little simple movement here, a calf raise. Just want to take a moment to slow you down. Inhale, lift. Just notice what I do. I kind of pause. If you tend to fall, I want you to pause. Now, today in the foot therapy conditioning workshop, for those of you who don't know, I added a new class every Sunday, 10:30 to 11. I call it a micro workshop. Last week we did our wrists, all this stuff we can't do in class with bars and weights. Today we're going to do the feet. So we're starting with hands and feet. Okay, we do a lot of different ones coming up in the future here. I'm just doing my nice little calf raises. You'll see this actually later, right? Heels lift, heels go down. Last few, please. And eventually, you do it on one foot. That's kind of always the deal, right? You do something on one leg, then you do it on two legs, and you do it on one. There's so much more, let's call it like dynamic stabilization, the balance. So much more of this kind of like microfibering, the tonic strength they call it, on one foot. So you can do it on one foot there. So then we go into our first one-legged. So in these last few exercises, the legs were very symmetrical. Even here, okay? Even here, they were pretty symmetrical. Now we're going big asymmetries. It's warrior 3 to standing, we'll call it tree. No rush. So we just really activate your calf. It's going to help you balance better. Now, it just looks like this to start. And I want you to slow this one down in particular. Some of the movements have been a little bit faster. The left knee is going to lift. Now, it couldn't just be like this, right? You don't have to lift high. Now, I'm going to bend my standing knee. Now, it's like a second set of a hip hinge. Remember we did this? Same thing, but I'm here. I go slow, I'm here. Now, you can just keep your leg bent, and if you feel good, you can lift it up higher or even straighten it. But those are all just different. So I'm here. It's like a little dance between this and this, okay? I want you to stretch also. So you're allowing, let's define stretching in the moment as like kind of allowing a muscle to lengthen as you require range of motion. But you have to keep strength. That's why this stuff is gold. It's not just like passive letting the muscle release and release and release, get weaker. You're trying to always kind of have strength and flexibility within the exercise. Imagine you do that for years. Your body will be able to do anything. It'll also be able to, how you walk really changes from exercises like this, because walking in essence is kind of similar. It's like this. Look, the legs are going. It's kind of similar. Okay, now let's do our second side, yogis. Ideally, you go to where it burns. Depending on where you're weakest, your foot could be the first thing to give up there. Don't overstrain, okay? Hands to start on hips, and here we go. I'm gonna hinge. Look at me just working. It's almost like a warrior 3 to a standing with the knee up. And I do want you to lift that knee up. I know it's crazy on the hip flexors, guys, but you need to do it, all right? We're only going to do about 2 to 3 more standing exercises, and we're going to make it way down. Let me see how skillfully you control the body as you bend over on one leg. Go forward. And then as you stand back up with that knee into the chest. That's the same thing. It's like a hip thrust to a forward bend, right? So same thing. Nice, Cav. Good control. This type of exercise helps with skiing, right? With the legs have to stabilize like so much in skiing. And you really want that pronation, supination, endurance with weight. To be honest, I'm using this as we're in the second tier of class already. We're working now, but I do use this in my warm up often. So, it's only body weight. So in a sense, it can be considered warm up. It just depends on how you're feeling, where you're at, how used you are to it. All right, so we want to go into our different plane here, guys. Now, I want you to go slow. All right, I want you to finish that up equally. Don't rush out of it because I'm moving forward. I just want to demo. Sometimes my demos and explanations are too long. All right, so now we go big lateral tilt. This is unique, guys. Start here. Look how wide my feet are. I got about 3 feet at least between my feet, okay? So look at that. We haven't really gone there yet. You see this? Look at my head's not moving, my feet aren't moving. It's just this big dipping. Think of it like a cat-cow in the side body. So huge coronal movement, okay? Like you couldn't see. The reason it's coronal is because you can't really see what I'm doing from the side, right? So it's from the front where you get that perception. Now what we do is if you want to circle, you can. You can't go wrong with that movement. I wasn't gonna teach that, but watch me here, guys. Right toes out, think triangle, but moving. Now, I'm gonna keep my hands in here. I like to stay hugged in tight or hands on hips. I drop my right hip down. Think of it like 3 parts. I reach out over the legs. It's not really a lateral flexion, but the hinge from the hip. And then I come back up and compound. So it looks like this. If you're new, guys, I suggest this much movement. This is a big one, okay? It seems subtle. Try to find it and feel it. This is all a learning process, yogis. I pretty much do this one every single time I exercise. There's not many substitutes for such a big lateral tilt and this kind of rotational quality. There are, but they're more advanced, and you kind of, sometimes you need some like equipment. It's a very unique exercise, and it's very powerful because it's teaching that strength through the side body to pull up with the tilt. Because a lot of times we're just doing side plank, we're just doing half moon and holding triangle, warrior 2. That's all like anti-flexions and tilts. So you need that big moving tilt. And if you're not used to it, you're gonna feel it, okay? Second side, I'm not having you hold the pose. Some of you are. You just do your thing, no worries, okay? Some days that feels good to hold that too. A lot of times when I'm practicing, I'll do this and then I'll kind of hold triangle, right? But I'm just moving you today. And some days I'll go fast. I'm starting to feel good from all this warm up. Try not to compress your left side body. If you don't laterally rotate your left hip here, look at this. You can't really tilt as much and your spine bends, but watch that left toe as it turns out. I can tilt so much more and my spine stays straight. See that? So we don't want too much of this lateral flexion. A little bit's fine, as long as you're aware and it's intentional. At one level, yoga could be described as making everything you do more intentional. At one level, right? So, whether it's posture, breathing, exercise, or anything in your life, that can be called yoga, putting more intention behind what you're doing. All right, guys, so listen, we're gonna make our way to the front of our mat and make our way down. If you'd rather go to yogi squat, your call. Really what we're gonna do is meet in down dog. I won't do cat-cow today. Good to throw that in if it feels right, okay? On your inhale, no rush, we'll reach our arms up. On the exhale, kind of bend the knees. Take a huge full body neutralizing movement. We'll finally take that lower half lift inhale, and we'll step back to dog. Take a few breaths. It's the first time more weight bearing on the arms. First time really opening up the calves and the big stretch. A calf stretch should pretty much be done every day, just like calf raises, especially if you're walking a lot on your feet a lot in your job. Calf raises and calf stretches, they got to be done regularly. And we use down dog to do that mainly in yoga. Just remember that stretching your calf bent knee is much different than stretching your calf straight knee, okay? You get the lower calf with the bent knee, soleus, and upper calf with the straight leg. Just like strengthening should be done both ways too. And nice and simple here, guys. We're just going to do some vinyasa chaturangas. If you prefer to add push-ups, knees, chest, chin. When I feel good, I do stuff like this. They call this like the yogi push-up, where you start like this, tap your nose between your thumbs. If you want the whole one here, a little bit something different, if you're feeling good, we did a lot of arm movements. Watch what I do. I keep my hips up and back, my elbows hug in. I get low, look at the nose, the chest, the hips. Look at that. Up dog or cobra, watch me go low, back down. I'm hovering. Look how the hips lead the way, up away from my hands to go. Watch me in full range, in full movement here. That is a really fantastic strengthener. A little bit of a fun way to pick up that chaturanga a little bit more. But some of us, you drop to your knees and you do a couple cobras. You guys all know this stuff. I'm not going to give you too much direction. Just kind of working now some weight-bearing arm exercise, some nice skillful movements forward, back, up and down. Have a little fun here. I'm going to give you about another minute. If you want to do like handstand, anytime I say plank, if you would prefer to hold handstand at the wall, forearm balance, those are always an option. Okay. Nice, Kev. Yeah. Yogi push-up. So remember, we're starting pretty active today. Stretching is just over the horizon here, guys. So keep working, all right? I'm going to give you some nice meditative stretch holds today. So our next exercise, you're going to stay on your arms. Now, some of us might want to be on blocks here. Some of us might want to be on the knees. Either way, you can do this in plank, table, or down dog. It's just called a straight leg hip extension. My feet can go together, and it's nice and easy. Right leg goes up and back. I pulse it. I just like to add the pulse because it really helps fire the muscle. You feel a lot more. Inhale, left leg goes high. You can pulse like 3 or 4 times. You can do a micro pulse. You can do like a half leg swing. I just really want you to focus on that subtle action of lifting your leg up and back. Now, like I said, you can do it in tabletop. Right? Look. We do this like crazy, right? I said you can do it in plank, blocks or not. Look. Depends on how you're feeling. I do all those. And, some people who really know their kinesiology, they've said to me, like, why are you so obsessed with the hip extension? That's a long story. Our back, on the average, is weak, and the glutes are weak. We do too much kind of hip flexor tension. We're like sitting a lot. That's a shortened position. And what we're trying to do is balance out that kind of pelvic stability. If too much activation is happening through that front psoas hip flexor, that causes like a cascade effect through the body. Your psoas is connected to your diaphragm, right? So it's like, these are like the deepest muscles in your body. We don't want one to get too tight, one line. So you should hopefully be feeling like your butt cheek really firing here, because that's what I'm using this for. All right? All right, guys. Now listen, we're going to take it down to the chest. We're going to continue with back line. Well, abs is coming up, so we're going to go front line in a moment. So here we are. Now, easier option, I do both. In the postural correction series, I'll have you do like this. Keep your feet and hips down. Squeeze your upper back. Lower down, relax your shoulders a little bit. Roll back. So this is one option. Maybe you take a few of these to start. Notice I'm kind of lifting. I am taking like a short 3-second pause, and then I lower down slow. Now, if you're feeling good and ready and up for it, you can reach your arms forward. We did this actually yesterday in this form. It's kind of like in the old Superman movies. Lift the chest, arms lift, and if you feel good, you lift the legs. Okay, and you're kind of holding. You lower down a little bit, and then you lift. And you really gotta step into that moment. Close your eyes and feel your back body. And remember, man, this is really good for you. If there's ever a time in practice to like go for it, this might be the one here, guys. Actually, I'm not really that obsessed with hip extension. People often confuse that. It's more like the pelvic stability. It's kind of a compound of the posterior tilt and hip extension. A lot of people are really good at anterior tilt and hip flexion on the average, but that posterior tilt lacks a lot of strength. So even here, you are a little bit pushing your pubic bone down as you lift your femur, so the big leg bone that connects to the hip. So that pubic bone is kind of, that strength connects the posterior tilt with the hip extension, okay? So nice job there. Just doing about one round. Take a moment. We can press back to child pose. And then I want you to go slow. This is frontline tension, so we're gonna rise up. So think of it like back body to front body. We're only gonna do about 10, maybe at most 15 minutes left of the movement and the strength. Stay focused. Feet about hips width distance. Knees about hips width distance. This one you gotta work here. As I lean back, I do not arch my lower back. I do not arch my upper back. Back up. Now, I don't wanna go forward either. That tends to be a common thing. As I lean back, I could go my arms forward. You see how I start to look like a Z, the letter Z? Through the body is a nice straight line, right? Exhale. You're gonna feel tension in the knees, in the thighs. Press your feet down, yogis. Posterior tilt, okay? Again, I don't want to arch my back, so here, back up. Go ahead, little lean back. There's an exercise I wish we could do. We never do it in yoga, right? Our substitute is sliding bridge or this, but you actually do a lean forward. You have to close chain your heels. Say you have a friend, they'd hold your feet down here, and then you would actually lean forward and come back. It's one of my favorite exercises. I do it all the time for the back of the leg, but we can never really do it in yoga. And it saddens me because it's my number one hamstring exercise that I do, but we can never do it in yoga. All right, now listen guys, take a moment, maybe a good little release here. So we're gonna do the big step back. I'm gonna give a couple options really quickly, demo. The goal is forward bend, asymmetrical back bend. Forward bend, so it looks like this to start, easier. Right foot forward, back knee down, lift chest, foot heart. Watch, right foot back. Watch me here, left foot forward, back knee down. Down dog. If you want more, hands on the floor. Go slow though, really work the step forward, okay? Inhale, if you want more, you go here. Now, bigger variations include more compression, forward bend. So here, I'm at the front of my mat. Watch, left foot skillfully back. Left foot skillfully forward. Yeah, right foot skillfully back. Hands plant, right foot forward. Having your hands on blocks, even if you're pretty flexible, it just takes a lot of strain out of the lower back. All right? So it's basically a repetitive meditation. So the yogis call it dynamic meditation. Trying to make what you do more meditative. And what does that mean? Just more kind of clear, composed, aware, present, calm. That's really what we're trying to do with all this stuff, not just be an athlete about it, but that's why I call you guys yogis, to remind you what the goal is. Yoga means union, like union of the consciousness to the body in asana, in this level of the first layer of the self, the physical. Union, connection, communication, listening. So instead of just holding on Anjaneyasana, getting better at the space between, getting better at the movement and the body control, all right? Now listen, guys, this is gonna start our stretch here, but we're not out of the water yet. Next time your left foot is back, drop your back knee down. Go slow here, right hand down, left arm up. Now it's a little twist to the right. My right knee's forward. I lift from the core up, I twist, and side bend, back bend. Right hand can be on the back thigh if you want. Gomukhasana is the full bind here. So that is a little bit more of the active stretch before in the end of class we'll take passive, okay? Go slow, back to center. I know you want to straighten that hamstring right now, so if you want a quick taste, you're more than welcome. We will do the hamstring stretch a little bit later as a group though, okay? But after that neutralizer, you can step that foot back or forward. We're just gonna go to our second side, just posture to side to side. Anjaneyasana. Left hand walks back a little, right arm goes up, so my left knee is forward. I twist a little left, and I side bend and back bend. So this is that's what they call like the coil, because you're twisting, you're also side bending and back bending. It's all three planes. Legs are asymmetrical, not only in the hip, but in the knee. Ankles are asymmetrical. This is a really big one, okay? Last few breaths in this kind of reverse revolved kind of Anjali in a low lunge. And eventually the Gomukhasana, the top arm goes down. It's that same thing, just goes further, okay? Now I want you to go slow, right? You're kind of on your own. Some of us, you release and you straighten your left leg, just to give you that quick counter. We didn't do like that many straight leg postures today. If you wanted that quick, active stretch, right? Pressing your feet down, anterior tilting, lengthening the core, all right? So now I want you to take your time. Eventually you kind of neutralize. If you want to like do that down dog, up dog, that's fine. So I am going to give you that fast twitch for a moment. We're going to do this, hip thrust or bridge, abs, and then we're done with strength. So we are here in the end. Yogis, we're going to do little jumps now. If you're not comfortable with something like this, maybe holding down dog in a meditation, maybe holding a dolphin in a meditation, maybe doing a crow pose or some more chaturangas. But if you have it in you, on your forearms or on your hands, I like to get you moving a little bit faster. I step my feet in, I bend those knees, lift those heels, look forward. Look at the little spring, the soft landing. That's the key though, the soft landing. Now, say you get it's a little much and you're like, is there anything else? Look, watch how I just go here, butt to your heels, watch, heels to the floor, hips lift. So it's like down dog, and then I go to this kind of active hovering child pose and explode upward. Kind of boom. And then eventually you bend a little less, hop, catch, hop, heels to butt. Now you can do one-legged hops. You can also, like I said, do a forearm. Headstand works great here, yogis. If you have a wall, jumping up on the wall and holding. We're gonna go about another minute and a half, a little bit of free practice for a moment, just to give you some fun time, a little recess to kind of let loose, or maybe you need a little rest. That's fine too, okay? Nice, Brian. Nice, Stella. There it is, Stephen. Yeah, and what's nice is we do all these hops, you get kind of nervous, you're gonna go too far. So if you turn your back to the wall, your hands are maybe about a foot from the wall, and you hop, the only place you're gonna go is your butt's gonna hit that wall, right? So, or your foot. So that's a nice little thing to have just to kind of safeguard. You won't go too far.
gives you a little bit more confidence to jump stronger. A reminder that the landing soft is the whole practice, all right? And also that body awareness. Don't strain your neck too much, your traps. So you got about another 45 seconds. One more round if you have it, please. Your heart rate should spike, because then we do that front and back body once more, maybe a quick twist body, and then it's stretch time. Yeah, some of you are standing up and just kind of shaking it out. Beautiful. Now, you're going to finish that up. A lot of you are looking done there, so I'll kind of keep moving forward. Now it's funny because that's kind of like trying to activate your back body, but it's a lot of front body shortening. So it's like we're trying to activate the back, but for most of us, it's like a forward bend. So I would say we should do the back bend first for the average of us before we just do that nice light core. So one round, yogis, if you want to go on your back and do bridge, that's nice. So, kind of lifting and pausing, holding, you know what to do, the potentiation, like press your big toe down, pull your heels to your butt, posterior toe, lengthen your core. Nice little bridge up downs here, articulation detail. The middle space here, guys, is that same form, but with the hands, arms, upper body. Hands behind me, fingers face forward. Feet a little bit wider than hip width distance. And then I do that same thing where I kind of lift those hips, I pause, and then I drop that butt. If you want to go huge, it's like wheel or reverse plank is another nice option. So you're pointing those toes. So a lot of back body practice today, right? The goddess squats, the hip, multiple hip thrusts. So we're here, little tap of the butt. Notice how my toes do point and they're reaching for the floor as I lift my hips. Okay, so I gave you about 4 options there. It's weight-bearing back body, locust, leg extensions, they were not weight-bearing. So we do want to bring that weight-bearing one more round. Up and down, pausing, maybe even holding. They're all good. Sometimes I go up and down, sometimes I hold, sometimes I pulse. One round only, yogis, so go strong. If you can't go strong in table or plank, you do the bridge. If it's bridge is too easy, you do the one-legged bridge. If you want to throw in sliding bridge, beautiful. We did that on Thursday. We did a sliding class with all the towels and the slippery surface. And then it looks like a lot of you are finishing up there. We're going to finish up with one last little kind of core exercise. So take a moment if you need. Circle out your lower back. I don't teach this exercise too much, but it's good if you're warmed up. Just take it nice and slow. All right? Hands can go behind the head, lower back down. Right elbow, left knee, right leg forward. Neutral. Here. If you want more, both legs start straight. Left knee, right elbow, neutral. Left elbow, right knee, neutral. Okay? I know you guys like those abs, and we didn't like hold plank or anything like that. No side plank today and stuff. So you got to get a nice little maybe abdominal stimulator if there's another one that's calling to you. As long as you're kind of in your abs. This is it, yogis. After this, it's stretching. So go, go big if you want to. This exercise is on the average. It is considered, risky, dangerous a little bit, but we're pretty warmed up. Okay. Now, if you want that last challenge, listen, left elbow, right knee, you hold. So you hold your left elbow, right knee, right leg forward, and you pulse your right elbow to your left knee. You're pulsing into the crunch rather than driving into the twist. The force is more like the crunch. You're pulsing like 10, 9, 8. This is it, yogis. So I'm doing the cross version where your right elbow's at your left knee, but some of you are doing like same side. We've done that before. Good stuff. Second side, left elbow, right knee. Go ahead, twist it out. Pulse it, hold it. Left elbow, right knee. This is it, yogis. Pulse, pulse, elbow, knee. Pulse the crunch, not the twist as much. That subtle awareness can change how this affects your body. It's the crunch is the drive, not the twist is the drive. All right, the drive into the crunch. Last 6, 5. I lost most of you already. That's good. That's how I know you're getting stronger. All right. Hopefully you felt that. If you're looking to like really strengthen your abs, to twist, you can't beat it. Just to make it, more practical as opposed to just like linear crunches always. So listen, guys, nice job. Let's windshield wipe. If you need a quick happy baby, I want you to shift gears now. All right, we've kind of changed our intention a little bit. The energy of the practice has changed. We're signaling now with this first little movement to relax, feel good, release. Nice job in that first 45 minutes. Some of us are in happy baby doing like similar where I'm kind of just bending and straightening or moving. The first stretch I will instruct is that nice big medial rotation. All right, so my feet are gonna go wide. My knees are gonna go right. My right foot goes on my outer left knee. I like to widen the arms. That's a postural thing there. Maybe let my head fall to the left. Try to relax, yogis. This one is not too long of a hold. Now I want you to go slow, guys, okay? Back to center. Your feet are about match width distance, maybe slightly wider if you have pretty long leg. Knees go left. Left foot might go on the outer right knee, but yogi, some days you don't put that foot there. You just kind of let your knees knock to the left. It's a big rotational stretch. Close your eyes. Your head falls to the opposite side of your knees. Just a few breaths, good 20, 30 seconds. Remember, if there's other stretches, that's fine. Use our group energy to kind of help just to push your energy a little bit. It's okay if you switch it up a little or a lot. If your body's telling you something, you better listen to it before you listen to me, all right? Let's slowly release and shake it out. Now, what we're gonna do is roll right onto our chest, yogis. And we're gonna take the Sphinx, because we didn't really hold the big extension in the spine here. So think a little bit more meditative. I will give more options, okay? Drive the pubic bone down, pull the navel in, forward and up, the chest up. If you want more, I'd rather have a lot of you stay here for the whole, 2 minutes. But if you want to go big, go slow. Right forearm in, palm down. Left heel to butt. Go slow, don't twist, just left hand reaches back. Now I drive my pubic bone down. That's the whole thing. Left hip down, left shoulder forward, and I pull my heel to my butt. So there's a lot of activation here, guys. Lifting the chest, driving your pubic bone down. Close your eyes. I just mentioned this idea. This is huge in yoga. There's a famous yoga guru. His name is Paramahansa Nityananda. He's not that famous, but he's as big as the Dalai Lama. He's the head of the school of the Vedanta. a yogi is often called one who studies the Vedas. And the Vedantas are like the specialists in these ancient, it's the first yoga scriptures, these poems about all this beautiful science and, the story of like how the yogis meditated and learned the story of creation and where mantra was created and karma was first talked about. And the yogis, Nityananda is always teaching his practitioners to listen to the spirit. We're trying to listen to connect our consciousness to the spirit. He calls that the fifth level of yoga, where connecting to the body is the first. All right. So we're in the practice. Do your second side, please. We're trying to connect our consciousness more subtly to these layers of ourself. One of the ultimate kind of higher levels is the listening to the spirit. Some people call it the heart or the intuition. A lot of times the intellect or like the ego or something like emotions, like feelings and fear or attachment, these kind of certain mental things can get in the way of the hearing or listening to the spirit. All right, now that's our peak front body stretch. All right, we're not going to do another one, so that's big, okay? Now, what you're going to do is eventually release that, maybe take it back to child pose for a moment. And then we're going to swing our legs around and come to seated, and we're going to do straddle. If you wanted to do legs up the wall, legs wide, or even a frog pose, that's fine. I just like this because a lot of us have a tightness, but have trouble straightening the knee. So I choose this one because I remember when I started yoga, I had trouble straightening the knee and flexing the foot. Now, I want you to try to sit up tall. You know the deal here. We're going more passive now, okay? We're going to sit up nice and tall, use our hands behind us, or maybe start to walk the hands forward. And I want you to just melt into this, yogis. Now, my feet started flexing, my spine activating. Then I soften into it. My feet can relax, my spine can even round a little bit. You have the option of kind of crawling your hands over to the side, even side bending a little or twisting. Just to be clear, if my hands are at my right foot, say my hands are at my right foot, if I rotate downward with the chest, it's usually considered a little bit more of like a twist. If I rotate my chest up to the left, it's usually considered more of a side bend. Just some food for thought there. Got about another minute and a half in meditative stretching. Yeah, nice. You can do like standing straddle too. That's the full variation here. It's kind of like in the beginning where we took standing straddle, we kind of reached for our floor, but what you would do there is lengthen, widen your feet as much as possible. So that's the weight bearing variation of this. And it will be more medial as opposed to posterior body. It's a different stretch, but it is kind of more challenging for sure, right? Make sure you do your second side. Last good 45 seconds here. So listen, guys, you're going to finish that up. We got about 5 minutes before we start meditative practice. And, we did a medial rotation stretch. I'm going to teach a twist on our back and a forward bend as a group. But I want to give a minute or two just for an optional stretch I know some of us are going to want something like a pigeon. We get a lot of hips, a lot of butt, glutes work. So this is fantastic, right? Don't forget that this upright position is much different than this forward bend position. Left hip toward right heel. You know the deal in the stretch, right? Another one some people might want is a little bit more chest. I wouldn't say we did a ton of arms today, but arm out, kind of rolling to the side. So remember, you got to pick one of these, unless you're just choosing to go on your own for the next 5 minutes. All right, where that right arm is out. That's in the postural correction series. It's more like the passive version of that back fly, right? Another good option, if you wanted to do the medial thighs, like our frog or our konasana, it's actually quite different than what we just did. So that would be good. Gomukhasana. It's kind of a moment to take a stretch on your own. We will do a group twist, and then we'll do a kind of group touch our toes type stretch, okay? It's okay. It's okay. Okay. Did she pee recently? Can you bring around the torch quick? I'll be right back, guys. Just they can't see. Just bring around the torch. So make sure you do your second side of your personal stretch today. What I want to encourage guys every class is not only give you a personal time in strength and movement, but also give you personal time in like recovery and stretch. Each class we're working on developing that, like I said, listen to the spirit, intuitive practice. Nice. Make sure she doesn't. Yeah. You can bring her in, take her down. Now you're gonna finish up that nice final stretch. Now we're gonna do a twist of choice. Think stretchy twist, all right? Most of our twists were pretty active in the core, right? You can sit here, go like this. Easy variation is something like this. Laying on your back, like this. Even with the second bind, one of the biggest stretches you can do, the coil. We pretty much did that, but let's take a twist, a shorter hold, please. Three minutes till meditation starts, and just to give you a heads up, we're going to do that. The visualization active. The inner work part today is going to be using our mind's eye to see something clearly about ourselves, to get a clear vision of what's happening in the body. When I was studying how to heal back pain back in the day, I read a life-changing book called Healing Back Pain, literally. The author's name is John Sarno. It's a #1 New York Times bestseller. And he's a back specialist. And he realized over his 40 years of being a physician that chronic pain is a neural state where the nerves are programmed to feel pain. And what they discovered is that by visualizing, using the visual cortex to reprogram. So what happens, guys, is your body will do your second side of your twist. So what we're going to do today, guys, in a sense, is like reprogram our nervous system. And we're also going to get insight into our body. So kind of like a lot of good benefits from this meditation. But what they realized, the yogis, is that when you feel like chronic pain, as John Sarno puts it, there's no such thing as chronic pain, actually. And what we do here is the visual cortex can kind of be taken over and almost turned into pain receptors. So it's like as you feel pain, it's like your brain reaches to certain parts of your brain and reprograms those neurons to feel pain. In the first place, that's usually taken over as pain receptors is the visual cortex. So as we work on and we're also like losing our ability to like imagine and to like visualize in our head. So what we're going to do is kind of, for lack of a better metaphor, is kill two birds with one stone. We're going to visualize, reprogram our body to feel less pain, but we're also going to learn about how our body works energetically and see it all very clearly and connect to the cellular self, all right, the energy self. So listen, guys, I want you to finish up your last twist. I have to use the restroom real quick. And then to end, final stretch. You could sit up, reach for your toes, You can lay on your back, swing your legs up over your body. I will give you 1 minute more, and then we will start the meditative process. Be right back, guys. All right, guys, let's start to set up. Let's do the deep work now. Comfortable as possible. We want to try to establish our physical body in a place where basically sensations of the body are reduced, particularly no pain, right? No uncomfort. We want to, in a sense, go into a trance. So the body is set up in a way where you can really just let that awareness go and really, let's say, go into your head space, all right? Now, usually meditation in the beginning is broken down into two parts, active and passive, just like exercise. And we always kind of do both in this class. Some days we lean towards one. Active is more like inner work, right? We're doing that self work inside on many levels. And it's really important, guys, to understand the self better, to connect the self better on many levels. Like I mentioned, that yoga means union or connection, relation. So the consciousness is relating, connecting to all these different, parts of the self and outside ourself. So today I mentioned cellular, and I want to focus on something in particular. But let's get set up here. And if you're good at sitting, it is recommended to sit, but not if you're uncomfortable at all. All right. We're going to go about maybe like 7 minutes with the visual. Now, remember, John Sarno and the other leading, slipping my name, the leading pain management guy in the world, he says, it doesn't matter what you visualize. The leading pain management specialist in the world has all these, high level clients, and he doesn't ever do anything physical. He has them picture all this stuff, this guided visualization, reprogram the visual cortex. Okay. So what we're going to do here is close our eyes, maybe shake your shoulders out if you're seated. If you're laying, get comfortable. And I want you to bring your awareness to what the yogis call the inner eye. It's the place inside yourself, in your head maybe, where you can like see visions or, see memories. It's that space where you can maybe even see the future, the yogis say, if you practice enough. And just start by kind of connecting to the body, thinking about the organs, all these different parts of you that come together as the whole, the heart, just visualizing the stomach and the brain for a moment. You're just getting a heightened perception of these kind of parts of yourself. Yoga means union. These parts are connected, union. It's not one part, right? The whole system doesn't work. So you're just visualizing kind of some of these organs in your body. And let's take it a level deeper here. With your mind's eye, I want you to visualize now the parts of the parts called the cells. So visual this, what we call like this eukaryotic cell. The cell has all these parts, a nucleus, a cell membrane. Each cell, what we have 50 trillion about, making up you, right? These little cells, they have all these different organelles. Each cell has this complex system of parts that makes it work. So I just want you to picture whatever it looks like you in your head. All these cells look different. Think of this cell wall, membrane. To keep it very simple, we have the nucleus, what holds your DNA in it, your genetic material. We have these little ribosomes, they call it the protein builders, the lysosome, all these little parts of this organelles. So you're picturing your cell, these, the smallest part of you, this living part of you. Picture it, yogis. What is it? What do you see? Connect to this smallest part of you. And what I want to focus on today is visualizing this organelle, this part of your cell called the mitochondria. So picture this little part of you. There's many different shapes and forms that these organelles, sizes, but these little organelles of the cell are what's known as in high school biology, they call them the powerhouse of the cell, the power generators. And picture these little parts of you. What they do, to keep it very simple, is take oxygen, and let's keep it simple. They burn your food to create ATP, or cellular energy. Now, these little parts of you, some cells, can have up to 100,000 of these energy producers. So anywhere from like 1,000 or 100 to 100,000 at some of the most cells here. And I want you to picture these little powerhouses taking the oxygen. That's why we practice breathing. And it's burning your food to create energy for your body. You could say, yogis, that we live, eat, and breathe to support our mitochondria. This is the part of you that creates energy. All cells have them, like your red blood cells have less, maybe none, but some of your cells, like I mentioned, are just these energy generators. And it's often thought that optimizing these mitochondria is what's creating the quality of our life, our energy. And I'm just trying to put a little kind of context in how important these little part of us are. So picture these little energy generators, and don't forget they're inside the cell. And just to give you more visualize this. Every cell is electric. It's also magnetic. It has a polarization. So you can picture this electric kind of polarized magnetic cell vibrating and moving. Each cell is moving. We have the cytoplasm and cytoskeleton. They're always changing form and moving. Each cell is a very complex organism. So you're really connecting to your mitochondria today, the energy producer. I like to think of, if you know your Star Wars, the midichlorians, the life force. And some people are measured with more life force, the midichlorians. I like to think of it as the mitochondria, these things in us that give us more life force. And what we want to think now a little bit deeper, as the mitochondria are burning that fuel, your food with the oxygen, a lot of times what happens is there's these certain little chemicals that are given off that oxidize, that kind of damage. What's unique about the mitochondria is they have their own DNA in them, right? It's so interesting how we've evolved. It's almost like the mitochondria are their own little separate organism inside, right? And what happens if, let's say our food isn't quality, let's say if we have a lot of pollutants, the mitochondria are burning and sometimes giving off more toxic waste that's damaging the cell, damaging the mitochondria. And I want you to visualize this part of yourself, yogis, very clear. Now, we could go into a lot more detail, but I'm trying to keep it simple. Now, I want to go into passive meditation now. You're welcome to sit with this idea of the cell. If you know more of your anatomy there, it's good to connect to all parts of the cell as a whole, the cell as a community.
You wouldn't exist without the mitochondria, yogis. Pretty much all life that we can see with our eyes is a eukaryotic cell with the parts, the energy producers. I want you to see yourself on a smaller level, the detail that goes into creating you on this physical plane. You're welcome to sit now with this visualization, go deeper. You're welcome to lay on your back in Shavasana to close out practice. We got about maybe 6-7 minutes left. Final part of class here, passive meditation, unless you're choosing to do something on your own.